Let's talk about 3D printing. What's up investors, and welcome back to the channel. This stock is hugely undervalued right now and in a position to seriously take advantage of the current market crash. Now, it's been a long time since I made a Nano-Dimension video, but there has been some big news this past week, and with upcoming catalysts, this could be a very good time to be looking at this stock. I like to find stocks that are either undervalued or have catalysts that could push the stock price up, and in my opinion, this stock has both right now, and I will be looking at all of this in this video. Of course, with the stock market crashing right now, it is a tough time for everybody, but these falling prices are beginning to provide opportunities that we have not seen over the past 2 years. NNDM is one of my favorite stocks, and the valuation of this company is way off. In my opinion, I feel management can take advantage in the current market. But while the stock market is crashing, I think it is only fair that I talk about any negatives regarding this stock as well as looking at the potential risks too. So if you like the content and you see value in videos that look at both the positives and the negatives, then help me grow this channel by smashing the like button and dropping a comment. I'm aiming for 300 likes and comments on this video. Help me make that happen. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the bell notification so you never miss out on any new videos. I want to point out that I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. Now let's get into it with a quick overview for anyone who's new to the channel. So who are Nano-Dimension? Nano-Dimension is a provider of intelligent machines and fabrication of additively manufactured electronics, AME. AME technology is a unique technique to print HiPEDs, high performance electronic devices, layer by layer from scratch. HiPEDs are electronic boards with complex geometrics that cannot be produced in the traditional PCB manufacturing process. The technology injects simultaneously dielectric, polymer ink and conductive silver ink from a special printer called the Dragonfly LDM. AME technology presents significant advantages over traditional manufacturing processes, for example in printed antennas. It quickly adjusts to the required size of the pads and their distances between layers, hence reducing production time. It enables the printing of several types of antennas as one unit in a single print step, unlike the traditional way in which antennas are assembled from multiple parts prepared by various technologies. It enables varied components to be printed on the same batch, which accelerates the optimization process. The AME technology allows for multi-layer boards to be created by providing up to 52 layers with connections between layers. This is a vast improvement from traditional technology which provides single-sided and double-sided PCBs. This technology also allows the flexible circuitry. The global flexible circuit industry recorded revenue of $13 billion in 2019 and is expected to grow at a rate of 11% for the next few years. Demand for this will surely further increase with the need for lighter, smaller devices with greater functionality and wearable tech. This is state-of-the-art technology. This is very much the technology of the future, but today. In my opinion, their technology is so advanced that the market that they are aiming at hasn't even got to a stage of needing their technology yet. What sets Nano-Dimension aside from other operators in the 3D printing space is that they are specifically focused on the niche of 3D printed electronics. This is a market that is expected to be worth somewhere between 2.3 and 3.9 billion by 2026. So this week seen Nano-Dimension make an announcement that was fairly unexpected. That's seen a big spike in volume and caused the share price to gain more than 30% in just 1 week. Nano-Dimension approved the repurchase of up to $100 million worth of shares, and this caused heavy trading and positive investor reactions that sent the stock higher. Now, with the stock having hit as low as just $2.17 recently, that buyback could mean as much as nearly 20% of the shares, so it is no surprise that the stock price made significant gains. However, and this is very important, the company also mentions that it is not required to buy back the full number of shares that the program allows. It will be repurchasing shares from time to time throughout the year. Share buyback programs are popular among investors as they are a sign of strength, but also typically increase the price of a company's stock. And of course that makes sense in the most simple of ways. Obviously, if there are fewer outstanding shares, then the value per share should increase as long as there is no fundamental changes. That way the overall valuation of the company does not change. And the share buyback is generally a sign of strength because companies do need to have sufficient cash on hand to be able to do this without affecting a company's business obligations. But in this case, they are not under any obligation to buy back all of these $100 million of shares, so I will be keeping an eye on this to see what management do over the coming months, and I will keep an eye on what institutional investors are doing too. Now, the stock market crash has been very hard so far this year, and I think that this will continue for some time. I feel that all the major exchanges, not just Nasdaq, are still massively inflated. Like over the past 6 months, we've seen the likes of Tesla dropping around 50% of its value. But don't forget that stocks like Nano-Dimension and other penny stocks have been dropping for far longer and have dropped far more than this. Nano-Dimension has dropped so much that it is not only trading below its book value, but the company is also trading far below its cash value. And even after a share buyback, this will still be the case, and I will look at the financials in just a moment to show this more clearly. The market crash and the unfavorable macroeconomic outlook has unfairly disadvantaged growth strategies, and some of the major institutional investors that were considered like geniuses 2 years ago are now completely disregarded in 2022. This is something that I spoke about in previous videos. For a long time, Cathie Wood at ARK Invest was buying NNDM stock. On a regular basis, as we can see here, looking throughout 2021, ARK were adding NNDM stock to several of their ETFs. Whereas this was seen as a very good thing in 2020 and early 2021 when ARK Invest were doing very well, in recent months, negative sentiment towards ARK has helped push down several of the stocks in their ETFs. However, this month, for the first time in more than a year, Cathie Wood has trimmed her Nano-Dimension position on consecutive days, selling stock here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday for a total of about 1.7 million shares. So although this is a sizable sale and it might seem like Cathie is selling out of her position in Nano-Dimension, let's remember that she did the same thing in February 2021 before then spending the rest of the year adding shares. And ARK Invest do still hold roughly 16 million shares of Nano-Dimension stock. However, with the confidence in ARK Invest at all-time lows, it does seem like the only thing worse for stocks right now than ARK Invest selling is where ARK Invest are actually buying. But where ARK have been selling, other institutional investors have been adding to their positions. Guys, if you've watched this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. If you have not already done so, help me hit my targets by liking the video and commenting below. I would love to hear your thoughts on what you expect for Nano-Dimension over the next 5 years. But also give me your thoughts on the current stock market crash and how long that you think this will last. With the recently filed 13Fs, we can see that the likes of Renaissance, Clearline Capital and Morgan Stanley have massively added to their position over the past quarter. Morgan Stanley reported a 201% increase in ownership of NNDM stock, an increase of 3 million shares since February. So yes, as I've highlighted here in blue, some institutions have also been selling shares, like for example you'll see here Wells Fargo and Amundi, who recently reduced their positions by 50% and 87%. And while this is a huge percentage, we are only talking about a few thousand shares. This is nothing in comparisons to the amount of shares that are being bought by institutions. Looking at the chart since the beginning of the year, we can see that Nano-Dimension had been moving sideways within this $3 to $4 channel up until mid-April. But then the stock dropped to its lowest point in over 2 years this month and provided a great buying opportunity before quickly regaining. Then the share buyback news helped push the stock back to $3. I find it very difficult to see the logic in this current valuation of the company. Remember that this is the lowest point that this has been since mid-2020. Back then, Nano-Dimension was not in such a fantastic financial position as it is now. I see this as an incredible opportunity to get into this stock while it is this cheap. Remember that in 2 weeks, on May 31st, Nano-Dimension will be publishing their latest earnings report, which will show an increase in revenue of 39% quarter over quarter and over 1100% over the same quarter last year, with the cash and deposit balance at about $1.3 billion. Looking at the most recent financial statements released back in March, we can see that Nano-Dimension had increased revenue significantly from 2020 to 2021. However, despite this increased revenue, there was a very sizable loss of over 200 million for this year. But it's important to realize that this loss is mainly due to this impairment loss, where there was a write-down of goodwill relating to the goodwill acquired from the acquisition of DeepCube, Nanofabrica, and Isimtech. This situation is one of the reasons why I hate to see large goodwill figures in the assets, but it's important to remember that this is a one-off and we will not see another impairment for this again. Looking at the balance sheet, we can see that Nano-Dimension have that huge cash amount which makes up the majority of $1.3 billion in assets, while the company only has 45 million in liabilities, giving Nano-Dimension total equity of $1.34 billion. Now, this is something that I see very often, is investors looking at companies' share prices and not taking into account the market capitalization of these companies. I see this very regularly with penny stocks, and I cannot understand the logic of looking at a company's share price without considering the market capitalization of the company. In the case of Nano, the share price is less than $3, but more importantly, the market cap has now dropped to about 700 million. This means that the company is trading near 50% of its equity value, or about 650 million under book value. This is incredibly rare to see. Before I give you my conclusion on the stock, I would greatly appreciate if you could smash the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Amazingly, 69% of my viewers are still unsubscribed, and about 45% of viewers who watch the entire video do not like or dislike, which actually hurts the channel. So if you do like this video, please hit the like button. If you don't like the video, then drop me a comment and let me know how I can improve this channel. For my conclusion, I think there's a lot to like about Nano-Dimension going forward. At this price, I feel the company is being completely undervalued. This is still a very early stage growth company, and although revenue is very low, it is growing, and the forecast is that it will grow much more. The risk, of course, is that this does not happen, but I feel that with the current market cap, now about $600 million below the company's book value, there is huge risk protection. Given the cash on hand and the current cash burn rate, it would take about 7 years of cash burn before NNDM would be trading at cash value again. But cash alone is not enough to make a good investment. They need to use this wisely, and there are other things to consider from a business point of view. Like I said many times before, for Nano-Dimension, it could take one big contract with a major company to provide a proof of concept that could act as a catalyst to drive this company forward. Then, of course, there are plenty who believe that 3D printing may not be the future of printed circuit boards, and there are plenty of people who believe that 3D printing in general will never become mainstream. This is the risk that we take with these emerging technology stocks. But for me, this is not a stock for the short term. I feel that investment here could take years to see a sizable return, but I do rate this as being very low risk with potentially very high rewards. But remember that I am not a financial advisor, and this is just my opinion and not financial advice. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you in the next update.